Hello, Advanced Algebra students. I am very glad that you are here. Thank you so much for being so conscientious and taking your notes. Today we are moving on in Chapter 2 on to Lesson 2.2 on point slope form. So Lesson 2.1 was about slope and slope-intercept form. And those slope-intercept form is the most common version of a line that you'll be asked to write. But occasionally on standardized tests or in other environments, you'll be asked to write an equation in point slope form. So I did want to spend one lesson going over that with you. So at the top of a piece of paper, go ahead and write 2.2 point slope form. So I think probably the most important thing that we might want to notice about point slope form is what that formula looks like. So the equation is going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And then it comes from our slope formula. If we had, if we were doing regular in-person learning, I would have much more detailed notes that would derive the formula and all that. But the main thing you just need to know is, what is the formula, and we can work with that. So let's do an example using that. So the problem says here, and again, all you have to write down is the actual problems that I put on the board, not everything I'm saying out loud. Write the equation in point slope form of the line that passes through the given point with a given slope. So let's have, for example 1, let's have the point be 1, 5, and the slope be -3. So we have a point and the slope. What I like to do with students the first couple times we're doing an equation in point slope form is I like to label the point. So I'm going to put an x and y underneath the point and then put little ones on each, little subscripts of 1. Then I simply plug everything into the formula. So it'd be y minus 5 equals -3 times the quantity x minus 1. And that's it. You're done writing the point slope form of a line. The thing I do want you to notice is that the signs on the point are the opposite of the signs in the equation. So the point is at +1, +5. And when you look at the equation you have written down, you're going to see a -1 and a -5. And it's because there is an opposite sign built into the formula. So that is just kind of, one thing to keep in mind. The reason that we have point slope form is that it can be a very quick way to write an equation of a line when you have the point and a slope. Now, we can also come up with a point slope form of a line if we have a graph to work with. So let's go ahead and draw a picture of a line that passes through the points. Let's see here, 4, 2. So we'll go over 4 and up 2. Point 4, 2, and also goes through the point 5, 0. 5, 0. Now notice with this picture, we don't have the y-intercept. If we had the y-intercept, it would be easier to put this in slope-intercept form, but we don't have the y-intercept on this picture. However, we do have a point and the slope. So with slope-intercept form, we needed to find the m, find the b. With point slope form, we need to find the m, find the point. We still can find the slope here just by counting it out. So if I start at 4, 2, I can see that I have to go down 2 and then over to the right 1. So my slope is -2 over 1. And then the interesting thing is I can pick either point and get a correct equation of the line. I think I'll just pick 4 and 2. So I'll label my 4 as my x1 and my 2 as my y1. And now that I know the slope is -2, I'm just going to write y minus 2 equals -2 times the quantity x minus 4. So now I've just written the equation in point slope form of the line that's on that graph. Now, let's do an example of how we would write an equation in point slope form if we were just given 2 points. So for example 3, let's use the points -2, 7 and 4, -5. -2, 7, and 4, -5. I'm going to label each of them with an X and a Y. I'm going to put little ones on the first one and little 2's on the second one. Now, because this is point slope form, I do need the point and a slope. We have a point already, but let's go ahead and calculate the slope. The slope is going to be -5 minus 7 over 4 minus -2, or -12 over 6, which is -2. And then we can pick either point. Let's go ahead and just pick the first one, where x1 is -2 and y1 is 7. So to write this equation in point slope form, I would write y minus 7 equals -2 times, and this is where you have to be careful, x plus 2. So x minus -2 is going to turn out to be x plus 2. But you're going to get the same line either way. It'll just look like it's in a different format, but it will be exactly the same line. All right. Now, if we want to take a line that is in point slope form and graph it, we're going to find the point and plot it and then move according to the slope. So let's do example number 4 here. Let's say that the line is y minus 4 equals 1/3 times the quantity x minus 2. In order to graph this, I do need to know what is a point on this line. Can you look at that equation and write down on your notes what would be a point on the line y minus 4 equals 1/3 times the quantity x minus 2. Take a minute and see if you can come up with the point. Be careful of the signs and also be careful of the order you put the numbers in. Okay, so hopefully what you came up with is the point +2, +4. We change the signs and put them in the right order. Our m is 1/3 because that is the number in front of the parentheses. So to graph this, what we would do is we would plot the point 2, 4, so go over 2 and up 4, and then we would count out a slope of 1/3, so we would go up 1 and over 3. And then we would draw a copy of that line going through the 2 points. All right, I do have a fairly significant word problem here that I think I'm going to avoid using just because it's pretty intense and it would be very hard to write it all down. I think the last example I'll finish with is just to show you with example 5 how you can translate back and forth between formats. So for example 5, the instructions say to rewrite the equation used in the word problem that we skipped, in slope-intercept form. So the equation that we had was y minus 725 equals 12 times the quantity x minus 50. So the point here is that even if you have an equation of a line in point slope form, you can distribute and combine like terms to put it in slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form of a line is simply what you have when y is on its own. So if we take this equation here and first let's distribute the 12, then we would have y minus 725 equals 12x minus 600. Then the last thing we would need to do is add 725 to both sides. When we do, we would get y equals 12x plus 125. So now that would be an equation that started out in point slope form, and after distributing and moving everything but the y to the other side, we now have y equals 12x plus 125, which is in slope-intercept form. I hope these notes have been helpful to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in class. Thanks, guys.